My ex-wife cheated and I moved on. But when she was dying and her family wanted me to forgive her, I walked away without regret. My wife Jess and I were together for 7 years and married for 2 of them. We waited to have kids because we wanted to make sure we were financially stable first. You know, we were just trying to be responsible. Anyway, things were going fine for a while, or so I thought. After we hit that 2-year mark, we decided it was time to try for a baby. That felt like the natural next step for us. Looking back now, I don't know how I missed it. The little signs were there, but when you're in it, you don't see them. I just thought we were having the usual ups and downs every couple has, nothing major. I mean, I loved Jess. I thought we were in this for the long haul. But man, was I wrong. So, a few months go by. We're trying for a kid, and I'm feeling pretty good about everything. I'm thinking about the future, picturing what life's going to be like as a dad. I had no clue what was coming. One night, I was at home just chilling, and I noticed Jess was acting kind of weird. She was on her phone a lot more than usual, but I didn't think much of it. At first I figured maybe she was just chatting with her friends or something. But then she started staying out late, saying she had work stuff or that she was meeting up with friends. Now, at this point, part of me was like, hey, maybe something's up, but the other part of me didn't want to believe it. I trusted her. You know, you don't marry someone unless you trust them, right? So I brushed it off. But things kept getting stranger. She was distant, and I could feel this tension building between us, like we were in the same room but miles apart at the same time. I remember this one night she came home super late. I'd already gone to bed, but I woke up when I heard her come in. She was trying to be quiet, but I could tell something was off. I asked her where she'd been, and she gave me some half-assed excuse about work drinks running late. She didn't even make eye contact when she said it, which was the first real red flag for me. But still, I let it slide because I didn't want to start a fight. I wasn't ready to face what I was starting to suspect. Things kept spiraling after that. Jess would go out more and more, and whenever I tried to ask her about it, she'd brush me off or get defensive. I didn't want to be that guy, the paranoid husband accusing his wife of cheating, so I kept it to myself, but deep down, I think I knew what was going on. I just didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to believe that the woman I loved, the woman I was trying to start a family with, would do something like that to me. Then one night, everything came crashing down. I was at home. Jess had said she'd be working late again, and I was just sitting there, feeling like something was really wrong. You ever get that feeling in your gut, like you just know something bad is about to happen? That's what I had. So, I did something I never thought I'd do. I checked her phone. Now, before anyone jumps down my throat, I know it was a shitty thing to do, but at this point, I was desperate. I needed to know what the hell was going on. So, I unlocked her phone and started going through her messages. And there it was, right in front of me, all the proof I needed. She'd been texting some guy, Derek or something like that, for weeks. They'd been meeting up behind my back, and from the looks of it, things were way more than just friendly. My heart dropped. I couldn't believe it. I felt like the floor had been ripped out from under me. I didn't even know what to do. I sat there, staring at her phone, reading the messages over and over again, like maybe if I read them enough, they wouldn't be real. But they were. Jess had been cheating on me. I waited for her to get home that night. I didn't even know what I was going to say. I was just sitting there, stewing, thinking about all the lies she'd told me. When she finally walked in the door, she looked at me and knew something was up right away. I could see it in her eyes. I didn't waste any time. I just showed her the phone and asked, "What the hell is this?" She froze for a split second. I thought maybe she'd try to deny it, but she didn't. Instead, she started crying, like full-on sobbing, and I just stood there, waiting for some kind of explanation. But all she kept saying was, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen. Didn't mean for it to happen." That's the thing that really got me. How do you not mean to cheat on your husband? How do you just accidentally betray someone like that? I wasn't having it. I told her right then and there that I wanted a divorce. She lost it. She started begging me to forgive her, saying we could go to couples therapy, that everyone makes mistakes. But I wasn't about to sit through therapy with someone who had been sneaking around behind my back for months. I couldn't believe she had the nerve to act like this was something we could just work through. Cheating is a deal breaker for me, always has been. Once the trust is broken, there's no going back. I think what pissed me off the most was how she tried to act like this wasn't her fault, like she was some kind of victim of circumstance, or like I should just accept that everyone makes mistakes and move on. But I'm not that guy. I don't forgive cheating, ever. So, I stuck to my decision. I told her there was no going back from this, and I was done. The next few days were a blur. I filed for divorce, and thanks to our prenup, it all went pretty quickly. Jess kept trying to get me to change my mind, though. She'd call me, show up at the house, even try to talk to my friends to get them to convince me to give her another chance. It was pathetic, honestly, but I wasn't about to let her worm her way back into my life. In the end, I'm just glad I had the prenup in place. It saved me from a lot of the financial mess that usually comes with divorce. I kept everything, my house, my savings, because she was the one who screwed up. It didn't make the situation any less painful, but at least I didn't lose everything on top of it. And that's how it all started, the end of my marriage, and the beginning of the mess that followed. I didn't realize then just how much damage it would do to me emotionally, but trust me, that part's coming. 3 years later, and I'm still dealing with the fallout. But we'll get to that. Alright, so fast forward to after the divorce. Like I said, I cut all contact with Jess. I wasn't interested in any kind of closure conversation or whatever. I just wanted to move on. So I changed my number, moved to a new place, and basically went full ghost mode. If I could have erased her from my memory, I would have. I wasn't even trying to hate her at this point. I just wanted to forget she ever existed. Those first few months after the divorce were rough. I mean, I wasn't out here crying myself to sleep or anything, but there was this emptiness. It's hard to explain. It's like when you've been with someone for so long they become part of your routine, part of your life, and then suddenly they're just gone. Not that I missed Jess specifically, but I missed the idea of what I thought we had. That was the hard part to let go of. The life I thought we were building together. I remember one night I was sitting at home drinking a soda and just thinking about how everything went to hell so fast. I mean, one minute we're planning for kids, the next minute I'm signing divorce papers. It's crazy how quickly your whole life can flip upside down. But I guess that's life for you, huh? During that time I started going to therapy. I wasn't super keen on it at first. I had never been the therapy type, but after everything that happened, I figured I could use some help sorting through the mess in my head. And honestly, it ended up being one of the best decisions I made. My therapist helped me realize that a lot of the stuff I was feeling wasn't just about Jess cheating. It was about a bunch of other things I hadn't dealt with. Like, growing up, I never really learned how to express my emotions. My family wasn't big on talking about feelings. You just sucked it up and dealt with it, you know? So when Jess cheated on me, I didn't know how to handle the betrayal. It was like all these emotions I had bottled up my whole life exploded at once, and I didn't know what to do with them. Therapy helped me unpack all that. Anyway, enough about that. Here's where things get interesting. 3 years pass. I'm doing better. Not 100% over everything, but better. I'm focusing on work, going out with friends more, even started dating again, though nothing serious. I'd occasionally think about Jess, but not in an I miss her kind of way. More like an I hope she's miserable kind of way. Yeah, I know that's petty, but whatever, it's how I felt. Then, one day, I'm at the grocery store, just minding my own business, when I see them, Jess's parents. Now, I hadn't seen or heard from them since the divorce, so this was completely unexpected. My first instinct was to just walk the other way and avoid the whole situation, but of course they saw me before I could make my escape. Jess's mom, let's call her Susan, came up to me, all teary-eyed and emotional. I could already tell this was going to be some kind of guilt trip. Her dad, Tom, was with her, looking all solemn. I could feel the tension in the air before they even opened their mouths. And I was right. Susan immediately starts telling me about Jess. Apparently, Jess had been in a car accident, a bad one. She was in the hospital in serious condition. I remember standing there just kind of blank, like I didn't know what to say. What was I supposed to feel? I wasn't exactly happy to hear she was hurt, but I also wasn't about to start feeling sorry for her. Susan kept going, saying how Jess had been through so much, how she was struggling. And then, get this, she asked me to visit her in the hospital. It would mean so much to her, Susan said. Despite everything, you were such an important part of her life. I almost laughed. I couldn't believe she actually thought I'd go visit Jess after everything that happened. Like, was she serious? I looked at her, and all I could say was, Jess isn't my problem anymore. I thought that was a pretty reasonable response, given the circumstances. But of course, that didn't go over well. Susan's eyes got all wide, and she started talking about forgiveness, about how I should let go of the past and show some compassion. Compassion? For the woman who cheated on me? Yeah, no thanks. Tom, who had been silent up until this point, finally chimed in. He was calmer than Susan but still gave me this look, like he couldn't believe I wasn't rushing to Jess's side. He said something about how everyone makes mistakes, and that it would be good for both me and Jess to make peace. Now this is where I might have gone a little overboard. I was already pissed off that they were trying to guilt-trip me into caring about Jess, but when Tom started in with that everyone makes mistakes crap, I lost it. I told them that Jess could rot in that hospital bed for all I cared. I know, harsh, but it's how I felt in the moment. I reminded them that she was the one who cheated, not me. I didn't owe her anything, especially not forgiveness, and I certainly wasn't going to go pretend to care about her just because she had an accident. Then I threw in the fact that they always defended her, even when they knew she was in the wrong. They always made excuses for her, like her cheating was somehow my fault. By this point, Susan was crying, and Tom just shook his head at me, like I was the bad guy in all of this. They tried to say some more stuff, but I wasn't interested. I just walked away, leaving them standing there in the middle of the grocery store. Later that night, I got a call from my dad. Turns out, Jess's parents had reached out to my family to complain about how cold I had been to them. My dad was on their side, saying I should have just visited Jess to be the bigger person. My sister agreed, but my mom, thank God, was the only one who actually backed me up. She said I didn't owe Jess anything, and she was right. Still, it turned into this big family argument. Some of my friends even got involved, giving me their 2 cents. Some thought I was being too harsh. Others thought I was completely justified. And honestly, I didn't care what anyone thought. I wasn't going to feel bad for not rushing to Jess's side like some knight in shining armor. She made her bed, and now she had to lie in it. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Jess is in the hospital, her parents are mad at me, and my own family is split down the middle over whether or not I should have visited her. But you know what? I'm not losing sleep over it. She's not my problem anymore. Update 1. So after that whole mess with Jess's parents, I thought things would calm down. Like, I wasn't expecting any more drama. But clearly, I was wrong. A few days later, I got a text from my sister Emma. It was one of those messages that you just know is going to lead to more crap. She said we needed to talk about what happened with Jess, and that she wanted to come over. Now, I wasn't really in the mood to deal with more lectures about how I should have handled things differently. But Emma's my sister, and we're pretty close, so I agreed. I figured she just wanted to give her opinion and get it off her chest. No big deal, right? Well, wrong again. Emma shows up at my place, and before I can even offer her a drink, she's already diving into the whole Jess situation. She starts off by saying she understands why I'm angry, but then goes into this whole thing about how I should have visited Jess in the hospital, just to get closure. Closure? I had my closure 3 years ago when we signed the damn divorce papers. I told Emma straight up that I wasn't going to pretend to care about someone who betrayed me like that. I mean, why would I? Jess was in my past, and that's where I wanted her to stay. But Emma kept pushing, saying stuff like, what if it was your last chance to say something to her? Or what if something worse happened to her? I could feel myself getting more and more frustrated. It's like everyone just forgot what Jess did to me. She wasn't some innocent victim who needed my sympathy. She was the one who wrecked our marriage. So, I asked Emma flat out, if someone did to you what Jess did to me, would you be running to their bedside? Emma went quiet for a minute, and I thought maybe I got through to her. But then she hit me with, it's not the same though. You guys were married, you shared a life together, and honestly, that was it for me. I was done with the conversation. I told her I didn't want to hear about Jess anymore, and that I wasn't changing my mind. Jess could deal with her problems on her own. Emma wasn't happy with that, but she eventually dropped it and changed the subject. We talked about other stuff, work, family, whatever, but you could feel this weird tension in the air. It was like she was still thinking about the whole Jess thing, even though we weren't talking about it anymore. After she left, I felt this weird mix of anger and confusion. I mean, why was everyone so caught up on me visiting Jess? I didn't owe her anything. She cheated on me, and I moved on. Simple as that, but it seemed like everyone else just couldn't let it go. A couple of days later, I found out why. I get a call from my dad, and he's pissed. Like I could tell from his voice that this wasn't going to be a casual conversation. He says we need to talk, and he's on his way over. Now, this was weird for my dad. He's not the kind of guy who just shows up unannounced, so I knew something was up. When he gets to my place, he's fuming. He doesn't even sit down before he starts laying into me about how I disrespected Jess's parents, and how I should have at least shown some decency by visiting her in the hospital. He goes on about how he raised me better than this, and how disappointed he is in me for being cold-hearted. At this point, I'm just standing there dumbfounded like, what the hell is going on? Why is everyone acting like I'm the bad guy here? So, I try to explain my side, but my dad's not having it. He keeps saying that family is important and that I should have done the right thing. And that's when it clicked. It wasn't just about Jess, it was about my dad's past, stuff I didn't even know about. See, during this whole rant, he let something slip that I never expected. Apparently, back when my parents first got married, my mom had cheated on him. I had no idea. This was news to me. And now suddenly everything made sense. Why my dad was so insistent on me forgiving Jess. Why he was so pissed that I wouldn't go visit her. He was projecting his own experience onto me. I remember standing there, just staring at my dad, trying to process what he just said. My mom had cheated on him. My dad, the guy who had always been the family man, had gone through something similar to what I did, and he stayed with her. That's when I lost it. I didn't yell or anything, but I was just so damn frustrated. I told him straight up, I'm not you. I'm not going to forgive Jess just because you forgave Mom. And he didn't like that at all. He got real quiet for a minute, and then just said, you don't understand. It's not that simple. But here's the thing. It was that simple for me. Jess cheated. I wasn't going to forgive her. End of story. We went back and forth for a while, and it ended with my dad storming out of my place. We didn't exactly leave things on good terms, and honestly, I didn't know how to feel about it. On one hand, I understood why my dad felt the way he did. He'd been through his own pain, and I guess he thought that if he could forgive my mom, I should be able to forgive Jess. But on the other hand, I wasn't him. I wasn't going to let what she did slide just because he made peace with his own situation. The rest of that week was awkward. My dad didn't call, and I didn't reach out either. I figured we both needed some space, but the whole thing left me feeling weird, like my whole perspective on my parents' marriage had just been flipped upside down. I kept wondering if I should talk to my mom about it. But at the same time, I didn't want to stir up more drama. A few days later, I got another text from Emma, saying I should talk to Dad and make things right. But I wasn't ready for that. I needed to process everything first. I mean, it's not every day you find out your mom cheated on your dad, and that your dad stayed with her for decades without you ever knowing. It messed with my head big time. So, that's where things are at now. My family's a mess. Jess is still in the hospital as far as I know, and I'm just trying to figure out how to deal with everything. All I know for sure is that I'm not going back to that life. Jess can stay in the past, and I'll keep moving forward, whether my family likes it or not. Update 2. Alright, let's get into what happened next. So, after the whole argument with my dad, things were pretty tense. We didn't talk for a few weeks, which wasn't normal for us. Like, I'd always been close with my dad, so this silent treatment thing was new territory. My sister Emma kept texting me, trying to play peacemaker, but I just wasn't ready. I needed space to figure things out, especially with all this crap I learned about my parents' past. Anyway, one night I'm sitting at home, just watching TV, trying to unwind, when my phone buzzes. It's from a number I don't recognize, but it's late, so I'm curious. I pick it up, and guess who it is? Jess. Yeah, out of nowhere. I don't even know how she got my new number, because I changed it right after the divorce. But there she was, texting me like it was normal. The message wasn't long, just a simple, "Can we talk?" Like seriously, after 3 years of no contact, she just pops back into my life with a "Can we talk?" Like we're old friends catching up. At first, I didn't even respond. I just sat there, staring at my phone, debating whether I should just block her and move on. But curiosity got the better of me, and I texted back, "What do you want?" It didn't take long for her to reply. She said she wanted to clear the air, that she'd been doing a lot of thinking since the accident, and that she needed to apologize properly. I wasn't buying it. I mean, she had 3 years to reach out and apologize, and now she decides it's time, right after her parents tried to guilt-trip me at the grocery store? Yeah, no thanks. So, I told her straight up, there's nothing to talk about, we're done. I figured that would be the end of it, but Jess wasn't letting it go. She kept texting, saying she had things she needed to explain, that she was sorry for what happened and just wanted me to hear her out. Honestly, part of me was tempted. I wanted to know what she thought she could say to make up for what she did, but at the same time I knew nothing she said would change anything. So I didn't reply after that. I figured ignoring her was the best way to move on, but of course that's not where this ends. The next day, I get another text, but this time it's from Emma. She tells me that Jess had reached out to her too, and that she was trying to make amends with everyone. Apparently Jess had been going through some kind of life-changing moment after the accident, and now she wanted to fix all the things she screwed up. Emma, being Emma, thought I should give Jess a chance to explain herself. She kept saying, "What's the harm in hearing her out?" But I wasn't about to let Jess weasel her way back into my life just because she had a near-death experience. I told Emma to stay out of it, that it was between me and Jess, and that I wasn't interested in rehashing the past. Things were pretty quiet after that. A few days went by and I didn't hear from Jess again, so I figured she finally got the message. But just when I thought it was over, I got a call, this time from my mom. Now, you've got to understand, my mom doesn't usually call me unless something serious is going on. We're not the type of family that checks in with daily phone calls or anything like that. So when I saw her name pop up on my screen, I knew something was up. I answered, and right off the bat she says, "We need to talk about Jess." I was already exhausted just hearing her say that. It felt like no matter how hard I tried to leave this chapter of my life behind, everyone was determined to drag me back into it. Turns out, Jess had reached out to my mom. Yeah, she went there. I guess she figured if she couldn't get through to me directly, she'd try going through my family. And in classic Jess fashion, she managed to manipulate my mom into thinking she was some sort of victim in all this. My mom started talking about how Jess had been through a lot since the accident, and how she'd changed, how she was genuinely sorry and just wanted to talk to me. I couldn't believe it. I told my mom flat out that I didn't care how much Jess had changed. It didn't change what she did to me. But my mom wouldn't drop it. She kept saying things like, people can grow and it wouldn't hurt you to hear her side. I was getting more and more frustrated. It's like no one in my family understood how much Jess's betrayal messed me up. They all acted like it was this small thing I should just get over. But it wasn't small to me. It was my whole damn life that got turned upside down because of her. After a while, I just told my mom I didn't want to talk about Jess anymore. I wasn't going to visit her, I wasn't going to talk to her, and I wasn't going to let her back into my life. I thought that was the end of it, but my mom hit me with something that stopped me in my tracks. Jess is dying. Yeah. That's what she said. Apparently, Jess's injuries from the accident were worse than I'd realized. She was still in the hospital. And according to my mom, the doctors didn't think she had much time left. My mom said that's why Jess was so desperate to talk to me, because she wanted to make things right before it was too late. Now, I don't know how to describe what I felt in that moment. It wasn't sadness, but it wasn't relief either. It was this weird mix of emotions that I wasn't ready to deal with. On one hand, part of me thought, well, that's karma, I guess. But on the other hand, it felt heavy. Like this person who'd once been such a huge part of my life was about to die. And here I was, refusing to even acknowledge her existence. I didn't know what to say to my mom. I just kind of sat there, letting it sink in. My mind was racing, trying to figure out how I felt about all of it. After a long pause, I finally said, "I'll think about it." And that's where I left things. I didn't make any promises, but I didn't shut it down completely either. I guess I needed some time to process everything. So, now here I am, stuck in this weird place of not knowing what to do. Do I visit Jess and give her the closure she's apparently looking for? Or do I stick to my guns and keep her out of my life, even if she doesn't have much time left? I don't know, man. It's a lot to think about, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Part of me feels like I'd be doing the right thing by giving her a chance to apologize, but another part of me just can't shake the anger and betrayal. I guess we'll see what happens next. Update 3. Alright, so here's what went down after that whole mess. I spent a few days just sitting with it, trying to figure out what to do. I kept thinking about what my mom said about Jess dying, and how this might be my last chance to talk to her. It was weighing on me, but not in the way you'd expect. It's not like I suddenly felt bad for her or anything, but it's hard to explain. I guess I was just stuck in my own head, going back and forth on whether I should give her that closure she was asking for. One night, I couldn't sleep, so I went for a drive. It's something I do when I'm stressed, just driving aimlessly until my brain quiets down. I ended up parking in front of the hospital where Jess was staying. I didn't even plan on going there, it just kind of happened. I sat there in my car staring at the entrance, debating whether to go in or just leave. Part of me wanted to get it over with, and another part was like, why the hell are you even here? I sat there for probably an hour, maybe more, just thinking about all the crap she put me through. Every lie, every time she went behind my back, all the begging during the divorce, trying to get me to forgive her. And now she wanted me to show up at her bedside like none of that happened. It didn't feel right. But still, there I was, in the parking lot of the hospital at 2 a.m, thinking about walking in there and talking to her. Eventually, I said, screw it. I got out of the car and went inside. I wasn't even sure if they'd let me in considering the time, but the nurse at the front desk was cool about it. She pointed me in the direction of Jess's room, and before I knew it, I was standing outside her door. I didn't go in right away. I stood there, staring at the door, my hand on the handle, trying to convince myself to walk through it. Part of me still wanted to turn around and leave, but I'd come this far, and I figured I might as well see it through. When I finally opened the door, Jess was lying in bed, hooked up to all these machines. She looked different, not just because of the accident or the fact that she was sick, but something else. She looked tired, worn out, like the years had taken more from her than I'd realized. It was strange seeing her like that. After all this time, she didn't notice me at first. She was staring out the window, lost in her own thoughts. When she finally saw me, her eyes widened, like she couldn't believe I actually showed up. For a few seconds, we just stared at each other in silence. I didn't know what to say, and I think she was too shocked to speak. Eventually, she broke the silence. I didn't think you'd come, she said, her voice soft, like she was struggling to get the words out. I shrugged, trying to play it cool. Yeah, well, here I am. There was another long pause, and then Jess started to cry. Not the dramatic, attention-seeking kind of crying she used to do back when we were together, but something different. It was quieter, more real. It caught me off guard because, honestly, I didn't expect her to have any real emotions left for me. I'm sorry, she said, her voice shaking. I know I don't deserve to ask for your forgiveness, but I needed you to know that. I just stood there, not really knowing how to respond. I mean, what do you even say to that? I wasn't about to tell her everything was okay because it wasn't, but at the same time, I wasn't there to tear her apart either. I don't know what you want me to say, I finally replied. You broke my trust. You broke us. That's not something you can just apologize for and expect it to go away. Jess nodded, still crying. I know, she whispered. I know I hurt you. I was selfish and stupid, and I don't expect you to forgive me. But I'm sorry for everything. For ruining what we had. For not being the person you deserved. Hearing her say that was weird. Part of me felt like I should be angry, but I wasn't. I wasn't angry anymore. Maybe I'd been angry for so long that I just ran out of it, you know? I was still hurt, still carrying that weight around. But the rage I used to feel wasn't there anymore. I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized how much time had passed, how much we'd both changed. And in that moment, I realized something. Closure wasn't about her, it was about me. I'd been holding on to this anger for years, thinking it was protecting me. But really, it was just keeping me stuck in the past. And maybe seeing Jess like this, so vulnerable and broken, made me realize that. I don't hate you anymore, I said, surprising even myself with how calm I sounded. But I'm never going to forget what you did. Jess nodded again, tears still streaming down her face. I wouldn't expect you to, she said. We sat there in silence for a while after that. I didn't really know what else to say, and I think Jess was too drained to keep talking. There was this strange sense of finality in the air, like we both knew this was the last time we'd ever see each other. After a while I stood up to leave. Jess looked up at me, her eyes still red and puffy from crying, and said, "Thank you for coming. It means more to me than you know." I didn't say anything back. I just nodded and walked out of the room. As I made my way back to my car, I felt this weird sense of relief. It wasn't like I forgave her, but I didn't feel as weighed down anymore. Like maybe that chapter of my life was finally over, for real this time. I got in my car, sat there for a minute, and took a deep breath. For the first time in a long time, it felt like I could finally move on. And you know what? That felt pretty damn good.